Alright guys, so this video is specifically to show you how to make your own DIY archery target buttress. So I was really lucky. I put a little message out to my community in the town here for some old cardboard boxes, and I got really lucky and I actually got a whole stack of brand new cardboard boxes. So I was really lucky. I don't even have to cut any of the cardboard, but basically you can use any cardboard boxes. What you'll just need to do is get a stack of them, and you'll need to cut them into strips of the same size, and then you can pack them in. So I'm going to sort of explain the design, and then I'll do a nice close-up so you can see all of the little bits and pieces and how it all fits together. So really what you're using to stop the arrows is the cardboard. So what you want to do is you want to stack the cardboard so that you can actually see the corrugations from the side. That's going to be nice so that the arrows don't really tear up the cardboard too much when they go in. So they're almost going to slide between the cardboard slats and between the little corrugations. So that's why I've done it like this. The boxes that I've used actually have a fold and a crease in the middle, so that's why you can see that line there. So I'm going to focus my arrows into these sections over here, but if you're using big sections of cardboard, you don't need to worry about that at all. You can just stack them all in. Basically all you're really needing to do is build yourself some kind of a frame. You can use planks or anything you've got really, or otherwise go out and get yourself something, and then you're going to need something to compress that. So what I've used is I've used threaded steel rods, and then I've just got washers, and I've got nuts there. So what you're going to do is you're going to have the plank at the bottom, plank at the top, and then you can just tighten them up. And as the cardboard gets shot out, you're going to find it softens, and you might need to just tighten that up to make sure that the arrows don't pass through out the other side. So this is a really effective way to do this. You can also use other materials instead of cardboard. The cardboard, you have to be careful that you don't get it wet. If you have rain or even just a bit of dew outside in the mornings, you can have this cardboard getting soft and soggy, and it's going to start falling apart. So maybe a better material to use is some kind of sort of foam or rubber, although that can be hard to come by. So that's why I've decided to use cardboard. I don't have any foam or rubber available at the moment, but this will work really well. I've also got quite a lot of boxes left over, so if this does get too damaged, I'll be able to just swap it out. Okay, so yeah, so basically what I've decided to do, because my cardboard is quite thick, instead of using just a single plank, what I've done is I've created a bit of a frame. So I've taken two pieces like that, and then I've just taken another piece like that as a cross beam, and then I've just drilled right through both of these planks, and then the same on the other side, and then that allows me to get that nice compression on both sides. Arguably it would be better to put another plank in the center over here and here to make sure that I'm also compressing in the center of the cardboard, but that's all also depends on the amount of poundage that your bow has. Higher poundage, the more chance you're going to have the arrow going through, so you obviously need a little bit more compression. What I've done as well is the rods that I got were 1 meter long. I don't need a full meter's worth of cardboard, so I've just extended it through, and I'm kind of using those as legs. So there's different ways to do this. You can have it in this orientation. You could also put it on its side. So what you might want to do is do it like so, and what you could then do is you could actually rather keep these much longer, so make these 4 beams quite a bit longer, and you would actually essentially be creating legs out of that. So you could get this to sit nice and high, maybe shoulder height if you prefer to shoot at that angle. I'm not overly concerned. I don't mind shooting down. If you're shooting field in 3D, you're going to often be shooting at an angle anyways. Yeah, so what I'll do is, like I said, is let me do a nice little close-up to show you all the details of the design, but it really is quite simple. There's different ways that you could do it. You don't have to have the cardboard as thick as this. You could do it probably even half as thick as that, and then you can use just a single plank instead of building a frame like I have. If you do a single plank, you could do 2 rods and then just a single rod at the bottom. I'll maybe see if I can post a link or a picture of another design, or a very common design that we see around South Africa that's a little bit more like that. But otherwise, really just about getting the principle of compressing the cardboard or the foam or whatever you have. Lots of little strips, compress it, make sure that you can adjust that, because as it softens and as you shoot, you're going to need to be able to adjust that as well. Let's just get a little bit of a close-up here. Obviously, like I said, I'm using these rods over here as like almost like legs, and you can see that the rod just goes right through the plank. There's no other joinery other than the fact that the rod is through there. I've got a washer and a nut on the underside of those as well. Got all the cardboard boxes stacked nicely. Like I said, I got very lucky and I had the cardboard boxes exactly like this, so I didn't have to sit there with a Stanley knife or something cutting all of the strips to size. And then you can just see what I've done is I've just measured into the center, drilled a hole right through both of those planks, and you don't need to have a washer or anything on the underside because the cardboard itself is going to actually hold and press that plank up against the other one. So really simple design. You can see shouldn't be too much to it. I didn't even really need any tools other than a power drill, just to obviously get the holes through here. I actually just cut these with a handsaw. So yeah, it all depends what you've got available, but once you understand the idea and the principle, you should be able to make your own one. Okay, so there's actually another design option. If you don't have access to the threaded rods, you can also use a ratchet strap, a full loop ratchet strap that you could just pull around your plank or the top of your beam, and then obviously around the other side on the top. And what this allows you to do is then you can actually then increase the tension with the ratchet strap, and so you can really get that compression on the foam without actually having to use a threaded rod. So just wanted to show you that as another option. It all depends on what you have available. I've got lots of these ratchet straps, so I could have probably used it. I think that just using the steel rod is probably a better option, so and probably also quite a bit cheaper as well. The other risk you have here is that if you do shoot an arrow into this ratchet strap, it's going to be a fair bit of tension on it, so you could end up having the target buttress come apart on you. So yeah, just something to consider, but definitely another option. I've seen other people use this quite effectively in the past. Okay, so another tip with building your own target is to make sure that you get nice clean edges on the side of your cardboard or your foam or whatever material you're using, and make sure that you stack that very neatly. So you can see this is a nice completely flat surface. You obviously want that so that you can actually place your target right on the front of that without it bubbling. You can keep a nice flat surface, and then also just to pin your target up there is to use some golf tees. You can also use nails, but the thing is that by putting nails in the target, if you do shoot that nail, there's a good chance that you're going to damage your arrow. So a wood or a plastic golf tee works just as well, but obviously if you shoot that, it just splits the plastic and the wood and doesn't do any damage to your arrows. So just some extra safety precautions and considerations. We always suggest that you rather shoot at a demarcated official archery range, but if you are going to shoot at home, then you need to make sure that you're taking every precaution you possibly can to make sure that you're not putting anybody at risk. Obviously an arrow flying off in any random direction is potentially lethal and obviously very dangerous, so you need to make sure that you're setting yourself up where you're not going to be putting any pets or neighbors or family members at risk of getting hit by an arrow. So the first thing you always want to do is keep the target buttress as low as you can. The lower it is, the more you're going to be pointing down, the less chance of an arrow carrying any kind of distance. Okay, the next thing is always to put your target buttress as close up against some kind of barrier like a wall or a wooden fence as you possibly can. So if you have your target buttress set further away from a wall, there's more chance of an arrow hitting the top, deflecting and going over the wall. So you can see I've got a nice big wall behind me over here, and the target buttress is close to the wall. You don't want to put the target buttress right against the wall, because as your material starts to soften and get damaged over time, there is a chance that your arrows will push through out the other side, and if you're against something nice and hard, you're going to have an arrow that would have been right in the middle of the target still hitting something hard and being damaged. So obviously something like a wooden fence is better than a brick wall for your equipment, so if you were to miss, you're going to have an arrow damage, but rather have a brick wall than that arrow continuing and carrying it to some area that might be dangerous to somebody else. The other thing that you need to make sure that you're doing is wherever you're shooting, that you have a very clear vision of your surroundings. So try not to shoot down the side of a passage where there's a possibility of someone stepping out between you and your target. Always make sure that you can see nice area to the left and the right of where you're shooting. Also, if you can, rather set yourself up in a situation where you can close fences or secure an area so you can make sure that nobody walks through, no pets move through. Just really be very, very careful. There have been some very serious injuries and even deaths because people are not taking this seriously.